Hey friends, hello everyone. In this video we're going to talk about ignoring others. This is the most powerful tool of radical manipulation, which as I grow brings just incredible strength, amazing results beyond what the man could even expect. We can use it just like in the process of lost relationships to take a leading position, a strong stance, and to win in a local conflict situation. So at the stage of return, that is, this tool allows us to change steering positions in one step. I'll also voice common nuclear misunderstandings and myths, and about ignore, because if you decide to Google, unfortunately, the internet is full of misinformation on whom to ignore. There's this belief that conflicts, fights in relationships are normal. Everyone argues. The main thing is to make up in time, reconcile and move on. Friends, this is a completely false message. If you have a fight in your relationship, there are only two options here. The reason, first, you chose a troubled woman. Conflicts with her will always arise, misunderstandings. Option number two is when you don't take a strong stand in the relationship. So you give her a reason to think she could push through her opinion, that she could take control, calibrating, that you can reconcile with your first love, that bears such nerve-wracking fruits. What is a conflict? A conflict is a clash of interests. And after each conflict, one partner loses their value, the other increases it. Also, in consultations, it always emerges that when we start to unravel this tangle, turns out that sometimes just one lost conflict situation leads to subsequent inversion of dominance. The woman starts to take a strong stance, leading to a loss of interest. In one of the videos, I shared a story, quite an exemplary one. This was goodbye. When a man makes a mistake and apologizes, well, we understand logic, right? If we're wrong, we should apologize, even if it brings negative outcomes.
Because for instance, it doesn't matter who's right or wrong. What matters here is that you backed them.
The next one is second in line. A 20-year-old man took a strong stance. Everything is wonderful, all calm and smooth. After that, the woman went to her graduation day and refused to stay overnight. And actually, no reason for jealousy. It was not there. But in this aspect, the man, well, what is it? Just maniacal. And he starts to just swear at her, send her texts.
A girl, since she was weak.
To the police. She comes back, meaning she gives in, but at the same time, she's upset. A day or two passes, the man is clay.
And realizes that...
Probably, and I need to make amends. Yes, I might have overreacted. He arrives at her place with a bouquet of flowers, and it seems like they made up. But now on different terms, you have 2.5 months, and mine is gone. What could the man possibly do in such a situation when he himself messed up? Well, at the very least, take a break for 7 to 10 days. It's just a fraction of probability. If she wanted to, the girl would have gotten in touch by herself. In a negative context, we might not respond, but in a positive or neutral one, we could. So our goal is to minimize losses. Speaking of conflicts, friends, conflicts are great because quick test and tie a female product manager to yourself. I sometimes did this even before I met the girl. I remember one case, it was about 8 years ago. Met on VK, a conversation started, a beautiful girl didn't initially notice any great interest in myself. Then we decided to call, and during a rather long phone conversation, she made a joke, and I did not like it. I split up a couple more sentences, then said, all right, it's time for me to go. Let's catch up later. The conversation ended. About 15 minutes pass, and he messaged me on VK. Another 15 minutes go by, and what did he write? No. Then about 20 minutes pass, and I receive a message. Sorry for joking like that. I was wrong, but being the positive person I am, it's all good. And I keep going. A dialogue with her. And here I instantly noticed something that significantly piqued my interest. This was an instance of using ignore. Ignoring can, as you see, last anywhere from 50 minutes to 3 months and a half year. That's normal. I used it back when we hadn't even met. I remember one funny incident. I was probably around 20 years old, met with the girl. There was mutual attraction, but she set herself to believe that nothing would happen on the first date. Where do we stand, right? Okay, heading back home. And I had a fake page just because, kind of, yeah, but I needed her for a project. For what? For the way I used her. The next day, I start messaging with a fake account, and the girl, well, basically she responds. The page was just well made, and I'm getting a certain reciprocity from her. I don't remember the specifics or details anymore, but I'm making it clear that it's me, yes, everywhere, and I'm blocking it. What happens next? Then a day of silence, second day silence. On the third day, a message arrives from an unknown number. What's this, kindergarten? Icy skates. And on the fourth day, out of ignore. That is, there are apologies. She's trying to justify herself. She's concerned. There were calls from unknown numbers. Next, the second date, which goes smoothly. This is also an effect of ignoring. Well, as you understand, I essentially had no rights over her. So, yes, we went on a date, but she talks to whoever she wants. Well, it seems, right? But I blamed her for that. It's one of ignore's qualities. Induce a feeling of guilt. A woman loves drama. A woman loves to suffer. That's why she loves being ignored. There was a recent situation during which a man and a woman have been in a long-term relationship for 3 years. And the guy finds out that the masseur who his girlfriend is seeing is kind of hitting on her. Naturally, he in such unclear sessions, the woman responds negatively, i.e., a conflict arises and they, let's say, repeated it once more, and she didn't listen to him, and that night again went for a massage. What needs to be done here? Most men, what would they start doing? That is, they would start writing to her, start insulting her, or start proving something to her, or try to convince her. That is, all this. The tactic is completely ineffective. That is, what was the right thing to do here? It is very convenient to start after a mistake because the feeling of guilt will increase geometrically afterwards. Then it needs to be stated here that we're aware she went for a massage. How to do it exactly? Well, it depends on the situation. A sharp woman already knows that. We know you can just go into ignore mode without words and keep it up to the boiling point. Let's consider another situation when she hinted at breaking up, just blurted it out with the goal of got scared and made up with her. Yes, well, because it either worked before or she thought it would work, or it worked with her ex, she thought it would work here too. This is a great opportunity, friends.
Observing.
That is, here it's exactly the same. She packed her things for her mom and left. That's it. We're going full ignore mode. Don't read further. Don't reply to messages. Just the same until boiling point. We have nothing to talk about with her. If you keep in touch, you know what typical men do, right? At first, a man might feel slighted, as if, yes, then the woman provokes him. He gives her something in return.
Yeah,
Then he ran after her. She said it's true. Complete nonsense, right?
and total ignore work. There are 3.
We ignore them, by the way. The first is surprise and incomprehension. The second is anger and silence. The third is remorse. And they go
Women
through all
pass by
these,
too.
and I'm
Sometimes they do.
demonstrating
When
them.
it pings, right? Sometimes it's
Complete
like
grave techno,
right
but
alike.
we're just waiting for the repentance phase. Also, by entering, we're talking about is the method of getting a woman back by ignoring her effective at all? Extremely effective. It allows a one-stage change of role positions. This is a situation where, in the rejection phase, we bring a woman to the boiling point and then back again. But there are a lot of nuances here. Behind the external, let's say, simplicity of an internet portal, I ignore everything. There are a lot of nuances here. Whatever it doesn't touch entering the game.
How do we enter? When do we enter, right?
Sometimes we really are just forced to sit like this and wait your turn. But in many cases, we can provoke a woman, we can make a holiday provocation, we can, if our clothes or things are there with them, or if they're planning a meeting here with us, we can plan a meeting through which we enter into ignore mode, plan a speech, so to say, that we can smartly present to them, many other things. Next, we need to understand the dynamics of developing ignorance, how it will all unfold to be able to read her condition. It's important to understand which provocations we'll be using, considering a woman's type, because one woman begins to ping often, reaching out, while another might stay silent.
Gorilla. It happens when,
Let's say, a woman prone to emotional gossip. And what is that exactly? It needs to marinate in neglect 1,000 times, regret, and mature. It happens that we just put it on ignore. A week passed, and suddenly she showed up thinking hard, oh, that's it, she's back. Not this time, friends. An emotional surge is a momentary desire, and it became sad, sorrowful. Did you take her back? Well, that's it. She's no longer afraid to endure. Everything has expired again. When I talk about the deadline there, weeks and more, we are now talking again about, that is, we're talking about the process, so to speak. When we're in the midst of relationships, it all gets resolved most swiftly there.
you can't ignore that.
We also need to understand when it's time to take the woman out of the ignore list, exactly how we're going to introduce the woman and many other aspects. That is, if we're talking about ignoring, this is the lecture, but for an hour or two, I will definitely put this material together too. They won't be on the channel, meaning there will soon be a big website where there will be, so to say, an info product, which refers to a particular topic, i.e., it's already structured, comprehensive information, like a lecture. And if we
Talking about ignorant.
Look, we're talking about the situation where the woman has already left, meaning zero significance to us.
Prime
On average,
Minister.
1.5 to 2.5 months. She won't get in touch with us before. And online, which is quite important, they say you're ignoring her, but at the same time, the question of isn't even raised. What to consider as entering disregard. In the comics, they started to ignore altogether, didn't they? I mean, if a month ago I had a fight with my girlfriend and we're not talking, and she wrote to us for the first time a month later, right here, we can check off that we're in the process of ignoring. The properties of ignore have started working. Gears started moving last month. This isn't disregard. It's just a pause. Men don't see the difference. They see. Take 3 situations. This is a pause. This is a leak when we tell a girl, that's it, get out, right? And ignoring, those are 3 different stories, completely different. To drive, yes, and she will feel 3 different sensations inside. If we're talking about ignoring, it starts after a message or call from the girl goes unanswered, or when we step into it through a meeting. Total disregard works only completely, my friends. That's the next big mistake. That is, there was a case when, farewell lads, such sorrow, see you. I've been following your, let's say, method for about 6 months now, ignoring him. He keeps pinging, but then he just drops off. Well, he forwards her message. Looking at all these pings, they're of some initial nature, says mate. That can't happen. He says, no, well, I'm ignoring. Here she writes, says, buddy, this can't be happening. This is exactly disregard. And then it turns out...
feeling awesome.
And then it turns out that sometimes he responded to her in such a neutral manner. This isn't ignoring. Ignoring only works if it's total. Or you might hear such advice that you ignore it for 3 weeks a month. If she doesn't reach out, then you should make the move. She won't take the next step. Friends, 3 weeks in is just the beginning. If we're talking about rebuilding relationships, 3 weeks in and she'll sense she's being ignored. She'll think he's showing his true colors by staying silent. Forget him. Friends, ignoring has a gradual impact, so it can't be quick. If we talk about nuances, everyone finds nuances interesting, Maxim. Tell me the algorithm, how do I get in and out there and raid like a ninja, right? After all, I really told a lot of stories where women, they probably came from different sides, knocked on the door where men were chasing him, waiting at the entrance. All of this is real. All of this is true, reaching such a boiling point. Right now, even I might open and show you the correspondence right now. That's the last one. Well, for instance,
Covering the face with happiness.
We don't know.
It will not be seen.
No, that's fine.
I'll read it out to you since you can't see. Here's what it
Girl,
says.
stop frolicking. Say to the guy, hello, my dear. How are you doing? How's everything? Is all well with you? Please write back. She was silent for 2 months. The situation was very tough. In this particular case, very tough. We started from scratch. The next message, I was wrong about a lot in this life. Forgive me for everything. Congratulations on the 23rd. So she writes a week before the holiday, often breaks silence for the holiday when there's a reason. The next message on the 25th of February, are you all good?
The next message.
And then we already called him. After that, he didn't send me anything anymore. I'll repeat, it's been over 2 months of ignoring that has passed. And it was only after this time she started to engage. And that's what we expected. It depends on the situation, the type. That is, you need to delve into the specifics. Here's each situation separately. So what advice can I give them if we talk about using ignoring in the context of relationships? We should always follow through to the bitter end. If we start ignoring, we can't afford to be the first to write and reconcile. It's like starting a war and then surrendering. So this recommendation that we ignore it for about 3 to 4 weeks, then reach out ourselves worried during this time. But in most situations, yes, she wasn't mad, and suddenly she sees our messages and thinks, okay, well, that's what I thought, actually. Friends, I think I'll also do a series of episodes about ignoring in the future, because, as I said, it's at least 2 hours of dialogue. Sometimes men would take a separate session lasting 90 minutes to discuss just anything. This tool, how it works in reality, there's no information on the internet about it. You might as well not look. When we talk about using ignoring in the context of relationships, yes, you can do that. That is, if something goes wrong, we start ignoring. If we're talking about
Directly into the square.
it's better to contact me here. It's already better to write me a WhatsApp in VKS. We will connect, provide a consultation, and then plan a clear plan. Actions. Many are curious. What's the likelihood? Friends, I can't answer this question. Obviously, ignoring works, but not in 100% of cases. It's impossible to get all women back. We always start off, well, from the perspective when a woman is repelled by us, yes, and the time period varies. But another plus of ignore is that we, during the ignoring process, one can sort out their emotional state and lower its significance. And that's important. There have been stories where ignoring ended quickly, 1.5 months, and the man sat and waited. Yes, I mean, he was anxious, thoughtful, kept an eye on her on social media. Eventually, well, we got a result. She came back. Then he just starts messing up again, yeah? And of course, afterwards, the question arises, Maxim, what should I do? This video can be considered an introduction, yes, to the concept of what ignore actually is. If you're interested in knowing the details, that is how to enter and exit, some life examples, stories, what result we ended up with, then be sure to like. If you find this interesting, hit the bell, subscribe, if for some dubious reasons you haven't done so yet. If you have a specific situation, write to us on Vcontacta and also follow us on Instagram. His name was Sergey, created recently, just a few days ago, but I will definitely also write articles there. See you all later.